G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoy today's stories. Now sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user Snoodaz45, titled, My boyfriend faked a proposal, so I broke up with him. I, 24 female, have been dating my boyfriend Andrew, 26 male, for 5 years now. We've had a healthy and stable relationship up until today. Andrew's always been a prankster and makes jokes with me all the time, and I do it to him too. But today he took it way too far. In the morning, he woke me up at 7 a.m. and told me to wake up because he wanted to take me to the spa. I was pretty surprised because it wasn't a special day or anything, but I was all in for it. At the spa, he told me how he wanted to go to a fancy restaurant after we were done at the spa and that he was paying. Of course, I agreed, as we hadn't been out together in a long time. We then got to the restaurant. We had a beautiful and romantic dinner, and just a nice time in general. We were talking about a house we were planning to move into, and chit-chatted about other stuff too. After around 40 minutes, Andrew stood up and got on his knees, and took out a box from his pocket. My heart stopped beating. I hadn't even predicted this. We've never talked about proposals before, but I also thought that it was a great time now. He did a speech about how I was the most beautiful girl in the world, and how he wanted to live with me forever, and ended with, "Will you marry me, my princess?" And of course I said yes. Seconds later, all that excitement turned into horror. He opened the small box I expected he put the ring in, and in it was a note saying, "You've been pranked." And Andrew started laughing hysterically. He continued with, "Baby, this was just a prank. I'm not ready at all to marry you yet." He was leaning in to hug me, but I gave him the biggest slap ever, with tears streaming down my face. I just told him, "We're over, you effing scumbag." I'm now sitting in my bed crying and writing this, and I don't know what to do. He's been texting and calling me, but I haven't responded because I feel so sad, betrayed, and mostly angry. I thought this was going to be one of the best days of my life. What should I do? In the comments, Forgotten Horse says, "Old boy took it too far. It's hard to come back from that sort of disrespect. I think you would be best not seeing him anymore. He lied to you and tricked you, now he can deal with the fallout." It seems in these pranking relationships, someone always goes too far. I just don't get it. You're supposed to feel safe with your person. How can you feel safe perpetually on guard for pranks? I hate all of this. OP, I hope you learned a lesson here. Not always. My ex and I started out like this, but a couple of years in we had a talk about how we'd both been living in a state of heightened anxiety and we needed to call a truce. Both of us were too worried about what the repercussions would be if we broke the truce, so we went years without targeting each other again. Neither of us wanted to risk starting a war. I don't even remember what the last prank was. It was before we got married. I am really happy for you, and I'm glad that you guys stopped. I can't imagine living like that. Honestly though, the fact that you even had to live with the heightened anxiety is too far for me. I just don't think that these pranking relationships are very healthy in that regard. But again, I'm glad that you don't have to live like that anymore. Well, I grew up with it too. My mum started it, and I started doing it back when I got older. If it was one-sided, it wouldn't have been fun, but we both played our part in it. We actually found an outlet in the form of our once-a-year Halloween shit. It probably helped that our pranks were centered around jump scares. It's not like we were throwing water balloons at each other or anything, just perfect opportunities to scare each other. I do remember the last pranks now. His was hiding in the pantry when I thought he wasn't home. I went to throw something away, and he was waiting in there. Just threw an arm out and rah! I effing dumped my drink on myself. For me, it was a spider prank. We were cleaning out the garage and found a huge wolf spider. I scooped it up in an old peanut can and carried it out to the end of the driveway to dump it in a bush. On the way back, I got a brilliant idea. Got about 10 feet away from him, looked in the can, and pretended that it was still in there by screaming and dropping the can in his direction. Empty peanut cans bounce. So as that empty can bounced and clattered across the driveway towards him, he jumped and danced around, yelling, as he tried to learn how to spontaneously levitate. I just about pissed myself. We always found that shit funny. I even thought dumping my drink on myself was hilarious. Consent helps. We both consented. Pancakes Quest 1 says, "What do you mean, what should I do? You announce that you have big news. You and Andrew are finally ready to let everyone know that the relationship was just a prank. You're actually single. Then go date someone else who cares about you. Oh my god, yes. Please announce that after 5 years, it turns out the relationship was a prank all along. I hate jumping on the Reddit bandwagon sometimes, but how the F did this guy think that what he was doing was a good idea? Actually pretend to make up with him, and then stand him up and tell him that it was just a prank and that you're not ready at all to give him another chance. Update. Thank you guys so much for all the love and the replies on my last post. I honestly didn't expect it to get as much attention as it did, but I'm very, very grateful for that, and it has helped me a lot. I asked the mods of this subreddit if I could do an early update, and they allowed me to, so here is the update. After I made that Reddit post, I fell asleep crying, then woke up and decided to call my now ex-boyfriend. I told him that it was over, and that I didn't want to be together with someone who after 5 years still isn't ready for marriage and makes a big joke about it. He cried and then turned angry and demanded me to stay and told me that I was an effing asshole for leaving him like this after everything he has done for me. He cussed me out so much that I stopped listening at one point, so I don't really remember everything that he said. In the end, we came to a sort of agreement that we're going to sell the house and that he will be sleeping in the guest room for now. So today, I've just been scrolling the internet for apartments so I can have a fresh start. He is still not happy about the breakup though. He's trying so bad to get back with me, saying stuff the whole day like, "Can't we be together again?" And "This was just a small mistake I made." But the one that did it for me was, "Don't be so effing petty and drop it. You know we're happy together and you know you still want me." When he said that, I absolutely lost it and called him every single name that I could come up with, and then slammed my door. I think he also told his family about the whole situation, because today I got a call from his mum telling me how selfish I was and how I couldn't handle a simple joke, and it ended with her calling me a slur and hanging up the call. After that, I've gotten several messages from his other family members such as his siblings, his dad, and even his aunt. I've tried to just block them all, but every now and then comes a new message. I feel like more will happen, but the next update will probably not be in less than a week or so. I'm gonna try to sell my stuff that I don't need, find a new apartment, and fix everything with the house and stuff before we put it up for sale. I just want to get out of here as quickly as possible. In the comments, Cat's Cuter Than Dog says, "How could his mother call you a slur? He disrespected you. His act was so humiliating. She should say sorry that she did not invest enough time to teach him how to behave." Well, because admitting her son's fault would indicate her poor parenting. As many parents do, it is easier for them to pretend that their kids are perfect and it's the world that is wrong. I'll also bet that she didn't get the full story. I doubt OP's ex is a reliable narrator. My bet is that the story from the ex went like this. "Hey mum, the girlfriend went crazy on me because I pranked her with a proposal, but it's obvious that we're too young to marry and I don't want to be responsible here. Now she wants to sell the house and refuses to talk to me. Do you think you could help?" That is, assuming that he even said what the prank was, instead of just brushing it off as just a prank. My bet is he mentioned a prank, but not the joke engagement part. He probably said something like, "I don't know what got into her. I just told her that I wasn't ready for marriage. Now she's forcing me to sell the house out of spite and won't listen to reason." Barbecued Brownies says, "If you own a house together, get a lawyer. It took me 2.5 years to sell a house that I owned with my shitty, evil ex. I cannot imagine buying a house with someone and still not being ready for marriage. What? Yeah, I could never make such a huge financial commitment with anyone that I wasn't planning to live with for the rest of my life. Demanded me to stay is a red flag of a phrase if I ever heard one. You know we are happy together. You know you still want me. You do not want to see me when I'm angry. Psych! Alright guys, thanks for watching my latest epic pranks vid. Remember to smash that motherfrickin' like button, hit subscribe, and follow me on Twitter and Insta. Kablamo! Epic outro music. He didn't even have the decency to apologize. But I guess a guy that could do that and think that it was funny also wouldn't think that he did anything wrong. I'm sorry he did this to you, but you're better off without him. That's the kind of guy who would also pretend to cheat and then call it a prank. Yeah, I think there's good reason that the pranks genre on YouTube kinda got beaten out and forced not to remain on the platform. 2015 and onward YouTube with that prank era feel like has a lot to answer for some of these people. What this guy did was absolutely heinous. I would have died. I would have crumbled internally into a supermassive black hole if I had been put through something that OP in this story did. And now, onto the final update. Hello everyone, it's been a while since my last post, and once again, I want to thank you all so much for all the support and love. As for now, this will probably be my last update. After my last post, we had constant fights for days during the evenings, and one day I decided that I had enough. My closest friend let me move in with her for now until I find somewhere else to live, and I still don't know what we're exactly doing with our house. But I've gotten lawyers involved and it's going to take quite a while. The biggest incident since I last posted is probably that I met my ex's mum in a mall and she full out screamed at me in public. I have never felt so humiliated. Everyone probably thought that I'd done something horrible as she yelled things like, "How could you do this to my son?" and "You're a terrible human being." I just walked away, but I still felt so embarrassed. Also, ever since I moved, constant messages have appeared from my ex, from his friends, and from his family members, and they are nasty messages. Such as, "No one would give a flying fuck if you died. You are a waste of space." Or, "You are such a self-centered slut, leaving your boyfriend over a small joke." I try to ignore them, but sometimes I do break down over them. This situation has also helped me learn who my real friends are, as some of my friends turned their back against me. This whole thing still feels so surreal to me, and it's going to take a long time for me to process it. However, if there is anything else that I need to update you on, I will. Thank you all again so much for the support. It honestly has been helping me a lot. In the comments, Marv115 says, "Screenshot and publish the messages. They want to shame you, shame them back. Especially the mum and friends. They want to harass people. Blast them publicly. Yes, this. And tell your story on Facebook. Why I dumped my ex. Then name and shame every single person attacking you. And girl, this is the one time you pull the poor me rope. Ex hurt me, humiliated me in a public restaurant, and laughed that he would not marry me. I left him because what's the purpose of staying in a relationship without a future with a man who does not care for me? He broke my heart. I tried to move on, but his mother, his family, his friends keep attacking me." Then start copy and pasting, adding full names, linking them to their nasty bullying comments. The screen makes cowards brave. Expose them. If one or two of them lose jobs over this, it'll be their just rewards. For a lot of women, the day they get proposed to is one of the happiest days of their lives. How can these scumbags think it's not a big deal, and you are all of these terrible things for leaving someone who obviously doesn't see your future together seriously? Those people can go kick rocks and continue to be lame-ass flying monkeys. I'd keep the messages from him and his family to show to your lawyer. This is messed up. Yeah, what a shitty memory to give her. You should be able to sue someone for that kind of public shaming that OP was given. That's PTSD inducing. And who knows what the hell her ex told her friends. Obviously got to them way before she did, and now she's being shamed again. It's sick and predatory. At least it wasn't a real proposal. You would have been stuck with that trash family of his if you married him. This. Imagine having that woman as a mother-in-law/grandmother to your children. You know you still want me. I wonder if this is a sudden mask drop from this guy, or more of a boiling frog situation. Because my god, what a dingleberry. Now OP needs to prank the ex by saying she wants to get back together, set up a romantic restaurant, but the plot twist is that all the staff and other diners are Redditors ready to point and laugh when she burns this asshole's pride to a crisp. I really want her to tell the ex's mum that she's pregnant and hand her an envelope, presumably with the ultrasound image, but inside is a piece of paper that says, "You've been pranked, and it was all your son's idea." The boyfriend has a very messed up view on what a joke should be. He probably doesn't know that jokes are supposed to be funny, and why does his family think that bullying OP will make her reconsider being with him? I'm lost. I've never understood these families. If any member of my family told the rest of us their relationship ended for any reason, including cheating, none of us would ever call or text that person. Like, how inappropriate. If they were weird enough to ask, the response would be across the board, no? Yeah, I've always actually wondered that too, seeing all these families. I've never met a family that has gone after someone else that has done their family wrong like this. Much less, in this case, the family member has done someone else wrong and still gets the flying monkeys after that person that they've wronged. I guess just for me personally, I'm so glad I'm never exposed to anyone insane like that. I'm glad my life is so normal and boring that this is never a thought that has occurred to me. But yeah, good on you, OP, for having a titanium spine in this situation and just dealing with this harassment that's being thrown your way. I could never. I hope all those people have the life that they deserve. That's all I'm gonna say. Our next post is by user Lava Rendella Tulip, titled, Ex-fiancé wants to catch up after he left me at the altar. How do I proceed? Well, exactly what the title states. Also, I'm writing this on mobile, sorry for any formatting issues. My 28 female, ex-fiancé Derek, 32 male, disappeared the morning of our wedding 2 years ago, evading all attempts to reach him from myself and his family. It was devastating, absolutely soul-crushing. The event turned into a party to distract from the pain of the unknown. Afterwards, I returned to our apartment and slept on the bathroom floor in my wedding dress. It was quite the ugly sight, to be honest. His mother ended up coming to the apartment when she informed me tearfully that Derek had run off with an ex of his. They had apparently reconnected a week prior to the wedding, and he just couldn't go through with it, opting instead to rekindle his relationship with his ex. His family was horrified. I didn't hear from him until 3 months after he left. He called me, apologized, and then revealed that his ex had been hiding his child from him that he just found out about. He wanted to be with them. That's pretty much all he said. I didn't say much. Actually, I think I only said hello. This whole situation left me numb. I just didn't care anymore. Thankfully, though, my friends were there and continue to be there for me. Through all of this muck, they encouraged me to seek therapy and work on healing, which, I'll be honest, was terribly difficult, but after a year, I felt myself again. Which brings me to today. After this whole debacle and subsequent self-improvement and rebuilding, I moved to the UK, originally from Australia, for a change in scenery. Last night, I got a message request on Instagram. It was Derek, and he says, "Hey," waving emoji, "I heard you moved to Wales. That's so cool. I'm traveling to Cardiff towards the end of July. I'm deeply sorry about everything, and I want to discuss what happened leading up to the wedding. I hope I'm not overwhelming you. Let me know if you'd like to talk over lunch." Firstly, no idea who told him about my move. Secondly, I don't know if I crave closure from him, but I also don't want to decide to decline to only later on regret my decision. So I turn this to you, strangers of the internet. What should I think about before reaching a decision? Would it be wise to decline, or should I humor him and listen to his reasons? Okay, minor update. Wow, this garnered far more attention than I anticipated. So bear with me as I try to navigate all your advice. Although the general consensus is quite clear. I have learned that an old mutual friend of ours revealed where I moved, and evidently he's been stressing that he needs to tell me something. For the time being, though, I've decided to simply ignore his message and work through any emerging feelings with my therapist. Thanks. In the comments, Sparky81 says, "The ball is entirely in your court. Do you feel that you need anything from him? Do you need an explanation or closure? You don't really owe him anything, so it's entirely about what you want from this." OP replies, "It sounds pathetic, but I guess I want the why a bit more in depth. Yet again, learning it won't change anything from the past. Thus, this brings me to my conflicted state." Otherwise Table says, "I wouldn't bother. You've closed that chapter. Don't open old wounds for yourself. He's selfish AF. This, he likely wants to assuage something with his conscience. I wouldn't give him that relief. Let him live with the full consequences of his actions. You're better off just moving forward. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming." This, he deserves nothing. Not your time, not your energy or effort, and certainly not your undivided attention. No is a complete sentence. I am no king says, there is no excuse in the world good enough to explain away what he did. Here are some of the options he had. Call you, the woman he was going to marry, and talk to you about the situation. Talk to his parents. Make an appointment with a therapist. Basically talk to anyone he trusted about finding out he had a child and was thinking of being with his ex. Postpone the wedding while things get figured out. He chose not to talk to anyone though, because he knew what he was doing was unbelievably sick and wrong. Not that his feelings were wrong, but the fact that he was going to abandon you and embarrass you in front of everyone that you both loved and knew. Let me be clear. Instead of calling anyone and cancelling the wedding, not even a cowardly text message, he let you get ready, get your makeup done, put on your damn wedding dress, and let you think the day was going to be one of the happiest of your life. He put your parents in a position to see their daughter so high and happy and full of love, and then utterly destroyed. He put his family in the position of having all eyes on them, their cowardly son nowhere to be seen. What he is doing is now one of two things. One, he realizes he made a mistake and chose the wrong woman all those years ago. He misses you and thinks he can get you back after his unforgivable actions. Two, he is only now contacting you to make himself feel better about being an utter asshat. Please do not give him the satisfaction. I'm on board with that one, OP. They took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to echo that sentiment exactly. Trust me, that was going to happen. For me personally, I want to hear the tea. I do want you to go and give him a chance, and I want to hear the bullshit that comes out of his mouth, because I want to laugh at him. But for the morally right thing, and the right thing that you should do for yourself, you should just block him and move on from this. Not even give him the time of day, you know? I will take a prank engagement any day of the week over being stood up at my wedding, that's for sure. Screw it, I'll take my parents on the couch, role-playing as me in my school uniform any day of the week over being walked out on your wedding day. That would be terrible, though. Either situation sucks. Updates. Hello, everyone. I did update in my original post, but I've decided to repost it here. So, as I mentioned previously, I decided to not respond to his message. A day after, however, I received another message from him, which I won't write out in its entirety. To sum it up for you all though, he apologized for how disingenuous his initial message was and explained why he had reached out to me. Essentially, he wanted to discuss that final week before our wedding, and the events that led up to him dipping out. Now, I will refrain from entirely delving into my ex's and Di's past, but my ex-fiancé was diagnosed with PTSD with avoidant attributions from past experience. His diagnosis did provide quite a bit of clarity looking back at our relationship and his past behavior, so I truly feel for him in his journey of self-healing. However, despite his struggles, I still told him that I couldn't forgive him for his callous act of leaving me in a perpetual state of limbo for 3 months, unsure of why he had abandoned me. He said he understood. Now, and some of you will be quite mad at me, but I ultimately agreed to meet him for lunch, and I do not regret it. He's not with his ex. Actually, she passed away 6 months after he left me at the altar, which is part of the reason why she reached out to him in the first place. Since then, he has been working on himself through therapy and navigating single fatherhood. Yes, the child is his. Oh my god, the tea! Oh my god! The lunch wasn't too long, but it was all around cathartic on both sides. At the end of the lunch, he handed over an envelope which contained all the money that we spent preparing for the wedding. Honestly, I was dumbfounded. It wasn't a gesture that I was expecting on his behalf, and I think that he was taken aback when I returned the ring that he gave me. It's funny. I held onto the ring just in case I needed to sell it if my finances continued to be unstable, but I never had to. Ironic that in the end, I did receive money while seemingly trading that ring. He looks better, and not to toot my own horn, but I feel I do as well. Now that chapter is concluded, and I no longer feel rage or remorse. I feel free. I feared that I might have still harbored feelings for him, but I've since found that I loved him for the man that he was in that moment when we were together, and though we're apart now, I'm okay with looking back and acknowledging the love that I had for him. I've closed that chapter now. with him, with the woman that I was with him. Thank you all so much. Any advice on what I should spend the money on? In the comments, wow, I'm not a believer in closure, but that is some serious closure. Right? Part of my brain went, damn. He apologized, explained what happened, a shitty situation for all involved, quite frankly. Gave her money to offset the money spent on the wedding. Sounds like a great guy. They should get Oh, wait. I feel for both OP and the ex. You're right, though, about closure. Rarely in life does everything get so packaged up so nicely with a bow. Yeah, it was a really shitty thing to do with no explanation, but I can sympathize with the weight of getting a call from an ex of, we have a child you didn't know, and now I have a terminal diagnosis. None of that justifies ghosting for months, though. If you claim to care about a person, you don't just do that to them. No, it doesn't. Apparently he also has PTSD from stuff in his past. Also doesn't justify it, but does explain it. PTSD causes irrational reactions to things. Yeah, for someone with undiagnosed PTSD and avoidant personality mental issues, this situation really isn't surprising. Username 89054 says, this is a great case where her ex would garner a lot more sympathy if he had communicated. All he had to do was say, I just found out my ex had hid a kid from me for years. We need to hold off on getting married until I figure this out. Boom. Relationship hope is kept alive, and you don't completely F the person you're supposed to marry over. More so if he said, ex had a kid and is dying of cancer in the next 6 months. Truly hard to imagine what PTSD could do to someone. For me, if I were ever in this position, just coming out truthfully seems to be the easiest option and would potentially lead to a much happier outcome. Yeah, honestly, for me, I have no sympathy for this guy at all. Honestly, I hope he has the day and life that he deserves also. You may have PTSD and avoidant personality disorders, but there is no excuse for his actions. This is honestly one of those situations where it's like, tough nuts, bucko. Suck it up and just be honest with her. Yes, it's an explanation, but it's no excuse for what he did. He is a terrible human being, and I honestly believe he deserves the worst. I'ma say it. He really does deserve the worst for doing that. That is absolutely terrible what he did. I'm all for the tea, absolutely, but this guy has really pissed me off with what he's done here. Anyway, that's all I have for you today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.